Clarkston, Michigan, the greatest city in the world. It's the Jose Aliaga Show. Jose Aliaga knows everyone. Get to know him as he interviews some of the most fascinating people from the greater Independence Township area. And now, broadcasting from the studios at Clarkston High School, the home of the state champion Wolves, here's Jose Aliaga.
Welcome to the Jose Aliaga Show. I am your host, Jose Aliaga, and today we have a special guest. His name is Jonathan Ettinger, and we're gonna talk today about the primaries, about the presidential primaries. As you know, every week we have a new candidate. So Jonathan, he have a new title today. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm good, Jose. Thank you very much.
Sure. So I hear your title is, you announced you're gonna be a candidate or no candidate?
I am specifically not a declared presidential candidate, yeah.
Okay.
I figured we had to make that clear right from the start. You know?
Okay. Yeah, as you know, every week we have a candidate. Recently, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker announced he's running.
Mind you, he's been an unofficial candidate for about a year already, but you know.
And he was in the polls between 4 and 5, sometimes 2, the second best, in the polls.
You know.
Now he announced, so it doesn't affect very much the polling because he already have a number in the poll, amount of percentage, how many people said that he's the best candidate. But we have so many, and I would like to talk about the most well-known. But as you see, probably right now I hear a lot the media that Donald Trump is the one that is coming up.
Yeah, Trump was always speculative. Mind you, Trump had been speculative as a candidate last time, and the time before that. It's just that this time around, I think it's one part he sees a very wide open field, loads of candidates, no absolute necessarily front runner on it. And maybe he's serious about it, maybe he's not, but he's definitely getting a lot of press time out of it.
What I see so far is, the recent poll today, I saw the poll, in some polls, he was third, he was second as the best. Jeb Bush was leading in the polls, and I saw today online. But I was talking with some people last week, even this weekend, then most people told me they like the fact that he's not from the establishment, he's a businessman, and he's honest. And I asked people, what do you mean by being honest? So far, what I see of him is he's not trying to be a political correct. He just says what he feels in his heart, and he's connecting with some people. So, he's saying the truth. What do you think?
No, and that's a fair point. Now going back to what you said about the polls, though, it's still name ID. Jeb Bush is up at the top because his last name is Bush. Donald Trump's up there because if you've been alive the last 30 years, you've heard of Donald Trump. And then, there are a lot of people who want that. I want someone who's not a politician, straight shooter, honest. And Trump's kind of giving them that, but really all it is Trump's saying everything they want to be saying, whether he should be saying it or not. So.
Well, somebody who is similar, I was told during these meetings I have with people around the township, is that they also have the same feeling for Chris Christie. He's 2.2 in the polls right now.
Once upon a time, I would have agreed with that. When Christie first took office in New Jersey, I actually respected him for that. He was a guy who said, look, this is how I'm doing it, this is how, that's fine. Yeah, he's gotten a lot more political since then. Just not even 4 months ago, he was quoted in national media talking about, how hard he's going to hit the war on drugs and take it to all those pot smoke. Are you kidding me? You've got Colorado and at least like half a dozen other states saying, yeah, pot's not a crime. We're just going to go this way with it now. And he's saying that as president, he wants to go in there and just crack down on everyone who does anything. No.
I see. Well, personally, I disagree with having some I talk about illegal drugs. I want to, and I think his campaign probably see the most candidates already have the same line, the same conservative line, pro-life, small government, less regulation, lower taxes, and he said, I need to make a difference with everyone else, so I need to come up with an issue that...
So say something stupid just to get noticed.
Well, I don't want to say it's stupid, but I think he wants to make draw a line and says, I'm different than the other guys. And then his name was up there, he got publicity because he says that. Like you right now mentioned it, he just mentioned lower taxes, less regulation. I don't think so he will get that hit. At least right now we're talking about what he says because he makes some sort of news, Like today, Donald Trump. I saw today then Fox News, it says, Miss America is from Oklahoma, and Donald Trump didn't come for the event or whatever. I mean, even though Donald Trump has nothing to do with the event, but they says Donald Trump didn't show up to or he didn't come, or he wasn't around, or whatever, but the name was there.
Well, I mean, in the past, he's had some degree of association with these pageants, but none of that matters. I mean, again, but that's a whole separate issue because you're talking about the 24-hour news cycle where they're going to latch onto anything and everything they can just to throw someone's name out there to have something to talk about. Doesn't even matter.
So at this point now, you see we have 15 candidates in the Republican nomination. At this point, who is the best candidate?
Officially recognized candidates. I mean,
today,
just because I wanted to point out, if you look at either the politics1.com website or one I just discovered more recently, 2016.presidential-candidates.org. Yeah, there's your list of actual candidates, okay?
Right. Oh.
That's a whole something else.
So it's like around what, 30?
Higher.
Higher than 30, okay.
Oh, yeah. But keeping to the premise, let's stick to the 15 quote-unquote major name candidates.
Right. Who is the best candidate for you right now out of those 15?
Still Rand Paul, just like before.
Rand Paul.
No question.
Why?
One, and this is what I've been saying to people recently, is when they ask me, explain to me what Rand Paul's for. Why should I? Unlike everyone else, or seemingly everyone else who just take a position here and a position there, and here's what I think about that, Rand comes from a genuine position of principles. He's saying, this is what I believe about government. This is what I honestly believe, and that informs the decisions I make. That informs the positions that I take. So you've got a guy who genuinely cares about individual rights, about rolling back government, isn't just talking a bunch of talk like candidates do every couple of years, but he actually believes these things, and there's a solid footing where if he hasn't said something about something, you can look to his principles and actually have an idea of where he's probably going to go on it.
So what is the problem with Rand Paul? Because now he's in the poll in the position 7, okay? And Scott Walker then just announced he's 4, 5, around there. So why someone just announced with Rand that was campaigning for a long time, why do you think is that?
It's all name ID.
Name ID.
Scott Walker is still a fairly nationally known figure from everything that happened in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Rand Paul has gotten some notice from his filibusters in the Senate floor and positions he's taken. But the kind of notice he gets is only there with the people who generally follow politics on a 24/7 watching C-SPAN kind of basis. Whereas Walker was just flat out news media of, I'm fighting with the unions. That's all it is. It's all strictly name ID. If you get to that point where the field thins out a lot, there's fewer candidates, you're going to see Rand Paul just going straight up.
Okay. And just for the people to know, I don't believe much in polls. I think because you can make a poll in Wisconsin, obviously, Scott Walker is well known there, or you can start the polls in California and Curly Fiorina can score higher there. But in the primaries, in the Republican primaries, doesn't matter because it's starting Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Michigan, and then Florida. And after Florida, basically whoever is leading, usually in the last couple primaries, wins the Super Tuesday, which is the one that you get a bunch of states at once.
Because they got a big bump from Florida going into it.
So if we go through history and try to apply that, out of all these candidates, I guess Mike Huckabee is the one who won Iowa, right? In 2008. I mean, he have a name idea what I'm saying there.
That's more like Mike Huckabee and then put an asterisk by there for the conditional. No.
All right. Now, do you think Senator Lindsey Graham, Senator for South Carolina, for the people that don't know that,
which is everyone.
well, no, I mean some people maybe knows who's Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham, I think he's running because the third state in the primary after Iowa, New Hampshire is South Carolina. And he's a senator long time there. He was he was a U.S. representative.
Yeah.
So he have a name, and probably he think he have a chance to win South Carolina before Florida. So you think that will work for him, or you think?
Well, let's start by saying, I mean, Lindsey Graham is, how do I put this? He's the John McCain of the Southeast. Okay.
Okay.
He's a guy who fairly well known within political circles, also fairly disliked within many of those circles. So, I mean, this is a guy, I'm trying to remember when, but he has made an attempt to run once or twice before. This isn't his first time. Oh yeah, no one does. He's never got anywhere. So what we're looking at is, okay, if he can survive through to South Carolina, and maybe he can win, maybe he can get some second place. I'm expecting, I'll be surprised if he even sticks around long enough for Iowa or New Hampshire.
Okay.
And even if he does, he's going to tank so significantly there, he'll barely be holding on by his fingernails going into South Carolina. He'll get third or worse, and I'm going to laugh myself to death. So.
All right. Well, my whole point is here. Just for people to know, when I mentioned the polls, I don't know where the polls are made, but like I said again, the polls that matters to me is the one in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, and then Florida. It's the one that I think it matters. It doesn't matter the polls from Alaska or South Dakota. I think at this point, because those states is not going to be in the.
I mean, because up till now, what you've got is media reporting on polls, which is driven by name ID, which is established by the media reporting on the people in the first place.
And based on that, that's why I think Lindsey Graham believe, and his campaign believe, he have a chance, because you said name ID is important. He have a name ID in South Carolina. That's it.
But consider this, though.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what we're saying is that Lindsey Graham is betting everything on South Carolina to be viable.
Right.
Giuliani did that same thing with Florida, and that didn't work out for him very well.
Right. Because he didn't start the primary in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. He started in Florida. I mean, that showed that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. But and now, but in the time of Giuliani, though, we have front runners, and we have just 7 or 8 people. But in this case, we have 15 people that have a name ID. Yeah. Because you said it probably will have more than 30 up there. But we recognize 15, then we never hear about. For what you're saying, then, the people that have ID maybe in those states are the ones that have a chance, right?
Arguably, but you got to remember, we're still a good 6 months away from the first of the primaries. Okay. Prior to that, we're going to have debates. And right now, there's still argument about who's even included in those debates. In fact, I mean, most recently, the Graham campaign, which I'm glad we brought this up, sent out an email essentially saying, these rules are unfair. Brad Pitt would have a better chance of getting into debates than I would, because it's all based on name recognition. And I can agree with him to a degree, because I'm all for openness and fairness. But this whole thing comes off as Lindsey Graham's not polling well. So Lindsey Graham's going the other direction to say, wah, unfair. Whereas you know as well as I do, if he were in the top 5 polling, he wouldn't be giving a damn about who was or wasn't in any of the debates. So let's go forward. A few of these candidates are going to be dropped out before we even get into debates. I can almost promise you. Okay. If they're all still there, then a few are dropping out by the end of the first couple debates. You're going to have a much smaller field by the time the actual voting happens.
Okay. Now, question for you. It looks like we have 3 outsiders now in this race, right?
Depends on how you want to call it, but
okay. Do you think Ben Carson is an outsider?
Never held political office, so yeah.
Do you think Donald Trump is an outsider?
In the loosest sense of the term.
All right. Do you think Carly Fiorina is an outsider?
She did run for office once before, but she's never held office, so you can give her partial on that one.
Okay, so the 3 of them are outsiders. So between those 3, who is the best candidate for you?
the hard part on that one's going to be, and this is going to be based more on what I don't know about them than what I do. I would have to lean toward Carly Fiorina just because
why?
I don't take Trump seriously.
Okay.
He says a lot of things I could probably agree with, and I respect the fact that he just doesn't care and is going with it. Meanwhile, Ben Carson has taken some positions I really am not going to agree with.
Okay.
Whereas Fiorina, hell, I don't even know where she stands yet. So.
Oh, but you said basically you like Fiorina because you don't know much about it. Right?
Exactly.
Right?
It's not that I'm for Fiorina.
Okay.
It's just that I've already ruled out Trump and Carson. You see?
Okay. All right. Do you agree is a majority of people that don't vote just because the principles or what they stand for, vote for who is popular? Do you agree with that?
To a large extent, yeah.
Okay. All right. And so if we go by that, who is the most popular right now?
Depending on which poll you're looking at, Jeb Bush is still up there overall.
Jeb Bush.
Yeah. Now, out of the previously named quote-unquote outsider candidates, obviously Trump. Because only certain sectors of people know who Ben Carson is, and even fewer people know that Carly Fiorina exists. So,
now Ted Cruz, he went in a couple of interviews. He's a senator from Texas. He's actually the one who announced first, for the people who don't know. Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, went in a couple of interviews with the liberal media, and he answered very tough questions. But he was very good, and he actually did a good job with the people from the liberal media.
yeah.
But some people from his campaign believe that the liberal media is not fair with the Republican candidates, because when they have Hillary or Bernie Sanders, they don't give them a tough questions. They give the soft question: what is your favorite store, or what ice cream do you like, or things like that. Do you think that's true, or you think?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen every interview to really sign off on something like that. But based on what things I have seen in the past, you do see, arguably, and mind you, depending on what you see where, anything can look like anything, okay? But from what I have seen in the past, yeah, they tend to grill Republicans a little harder on more of a prove yourself, what about this, I'm trying to get you in a, I caught you on that one. Whereas if they're already favoring someone, which generally leans toward the left, then it's just a simple little chatting interview. I mean, this is the kind of thing you get when people have their half-hour sit-down with the president, for crying out loud. Just a bunch of blah, blah, blah to nowhere, no one really actually pushing or trying.
Some people believe that Jeb Bush is the candidate, the Republican candidate that actually can go to November election and defeat Hillary Clinton, because name ID, he can raise the money, his wife is Hispanic from Mexico, and she will be able to carry the Hispanic vote. A minority vote them we didn't carry in 2008 and 2012. So, do you agree with that, or you disagree?
No, that's a bit of a stretch to say that you're going to get the Hispanic vote just because your wife's from Mexico, really?
No, but I just asking you that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. The problem is people actually believe that that's the set of criteria that make Jeb the most likely to beat her. And again, not that I put too much stock in polls, but I've seen results that came back saying, well, basically, here's everyone on the Republican field and how badly they lose to Hillary, because that's the current state of the polling, because it's person-by-person matchup. You know who comes up at the top of the list with the smallest margin of defeat? Rand Paul.
Okay.
Not Jeb Bush.
Now, I was telling you, a lot of people told me, some people in the township told me this, it doesn't matter who wins. Whoever Republican, I see all the candidates are very decent, very good, I would support them in November. But the question is the question I ask people is, who's more likely to win the swing states? Florida, Ohio, Virginia.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that, can go either way.
See, and that's where you need someone who can appeal to the independent middle, okay? That's something Rand Paul can do. That's something to a large degree Ted Cruz or even Scott Walker could do. That's something that Rick Santorum has no prayer of getting anywhere near.
What about Marco Rubio? Marco Rubio is from Florida.
Once upon a time,
Hispanic.
Rubio had independent support. He's I'd call him like 80% entrenched with the party. He's losing any kind of independent credibility.
Really? Marco Rubio?
Oh, yeah.
But he have a name ID in
Florida.
Florida.
No. I mean, being from Florida, that can help him in Florida.
Yeah, in November election, though.
But but it's not going to get him anything anywhere else.
So you think
Pennsylvania is still a swing state.
Okay.
Rubio has nothing there. Rubio is easily still going to be barely lucky to be in 5th or 6th place in a state like Michigan.
Okay.
Rubio's got Florida, nothing else at best.
Really? Marco Rubio?
Easily. Yeah.
Okay, well, what about Scott Walker? You think Scott Walker from Wisconsin have more ground to win versus Ohio?
Walker has more genuine appeal as an overall independent. I mean, the few of the things he said since declaring his candidacy make him kind of more questionable with the more libertarian-leaning wing of the party. But he is from the Midwest, which helps give him credibility in places like Ohio and Michigan, something that Rubio wouldn't get, and Jeb Bush would be counting strictly on name ID for. People can relate to Scott Walker. Now the question is whether or not people agree with Scott Walker. He's got a better shot than some, but nothing's locked up.
Now he actually announced, and he's running, former governor from Texas, Rick Perry. We'll forget about him. Why he left? I mean, what do you think about him? He's a former governor. The state's in good shape. The economy is booming there. A lot of people's moving to Texas.
He is never going to come back from that major gaffe the last time around, though. In the debate where he was talking about which departments he's going to cut, and then he couldn't even remember the names of them. Ron Paul had to bail him out on that one and give him
yeah.
He's trying his hardest to put that behind him and say, no, I'm a serious. No, not getting it.
It's many people up there saying that Ron Paul, senator from Kentucky, is the same like Ron Paul, U.S. congressman from Texas. Do you agree about that, or you think
in many ways they don't necessarily agree to the letter on all things? And Rand has definitely had more of a diplomatic playing the game approach, which has actually been able to work for him. Whereas Ron just said, look, this is what I believe, this is where I am, and so be it, even if he was just out there on his own the whole time with some things. So in many ways, Rand is a lot like his dad, but in other ways he can get much broader appeal. It's kind of ironic. I was saying to someone the other day, Rand can count on the majority of the people who supported his dad, except there are a few real extreme absolutists who won't like him. Fine. Meanwhile, Rand is pulling more from a centrist, even almost borderline establishment support that his dad never got into. So Rand can get from a lot of places that other candidates can't.
I see. Now, the latest poll says Jeb Bush scored 17%. Okay, 17%. And the second one, I think, was 7%. There's a huge margin right there for the second one.
Oh, yeah, but at the same time, if Jeb Bush is pulling 17%, then that means you have 83% saying not Jeb Bush.
But they are, so for what you're saying right now, so it's very good for Jeb Bush, then we have 15 people running.
In that it gives him the appearance of being a front runner, yeah. But if you really consider the numbers, it's still anyone's game. It's nowhere. You show me when one of these candidates can break 40% in almost every poll, then I'll consider calling him a front runner.
So right now we don't have a front runner, either.
Not in the strictest sense, no.
No. Okay. Well, 15 people running though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and each of them have 1%. Well, except Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham is actually 0.8.
Hey,
it's not even 1% yet.
They could split 6% per candidate across those 15, and then that leaves 10% undecided. Okay. So that's really not anywhere yet.
Okay. So we have Governor Rick Perry, we have Governor George Pataki from New York, we have Governor Chris Christie, then we have who else? Jeb Bush,
and the Scott Walker was governor, yeah.
5. It's no other one?
5, 6, I don't know, lost track.
6 is so many. So all of those governors, who is the best governor candidate for President of the United States?
I mean, in terms of which one I could actually consider supporting if I had to, yeah, I would still go with Walker out of those.
Walker, out of all those. Senators, you go with Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Outsiders?
Still barely leaning Carly Fiorina.
Okay.
So I guess there you go. My top 3 candidates are Rand Paul, Scott Walker, and Carly Fiorina.
Okay. Now, let's see. Who do you think is going to be the challenger in November from the Democrat Party?
Unless something drastic happens, it's going to be Hillary.
Okay.
Period.
So Hillary.
She's owned it since 2 years ago.
So how many people running in the Democrats right now?
Well, again, depends on how you want to look at it. In terms of names that anyone could identify, there's two.
Two, okay.
In terms of big names that get any kind of national recognition ever, there's four.
Four, okay.
Mind you, there's still speculation that Vice President Biden could get involved. But personally, my thought is, look, either he's running a stealth campaign where he's just going to come in hard and fast later, or he's not doing it. And I'd lean toward not doing it.
Okay, fair. But so we have 15 people, now it's July 2015, and we have 15 people in the Republican camp, the Republican Party. And we have four people.
At best, four. Yeah.
So that maybe tell you or tell the people that maybe it's a Republican year? So that's why we have too many Republicans running?
I think what it tells me is that pretty much Hillary was considered a foregone conclusion for the most part for the Democrats. Republicans had no one like that on their side, so everyone sees themselves as having a chance for it. That's really what it is.
Okay. So you still think Democrats have a big chance with Hillary then?
It all depends on how the voters are going to go. I mean, it's really going to come down a lot to the independent voters, okay? In 2008, they bought what Barack Obama was selling, period. Mind you, it didn't hurt that John McCain was a horrible candidate. 2012, again, mind you, the difference between 8 and 12, Obama was more on the attack, doing everything he could to portray Romney as the worst possible person. He was actually afraid of Romney. But it was one part Obama hitting Romney hard, two, Romney just not having the right structure in place to fight against it. But it's still, more independent voters leaned Obama in both cases. That's the critical part.
Well, also, I think money was the big issue because Romney couldn't. I mean, in Ohio, Obama has like 200 different bases in Ohio, and Romney you have 50 bases, campaign base, 50 against 200. I mean,
strategy and support, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna end the show because the time is up. Okay. But thank you so much for being here and camera game, and you always bring a good.
Oh, hey, glad to do it.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank all of you. If you wanna contact Jonathan Ettinger, his contact information is there. You have Facebook and Twitter. You can contact me on my Facebook, the Jose Aliaga Show, on Facebook. And that if you wanna be a guest here in the show, you can call me at 248-736-7163. Thank you and have a blessed day. Adios.